So I think I've pretty much terrified Kelly because I'm trying to cram in the most slides into the shortest amount of time here. And if I've tested the video equipment, and I think if everything holds up on the video side and my voice holds out, I think we can avoid this being a total disaster. So just 1 second. Let's see if I can get ready. All right, so good afternoon. My name is Bert Granberg. I'm the director of the state of Utah's Automated Geographic Reference Center, and I'm going to talk about a recent project that we've been involved with to license Google's high-resolution aerial photography for use by state and local government. Okay. Yes. So my office, AGRC, has 4 focus areas that include maintaining a library of over 400 digital map layers that describe Utah in something that's called the State Geographic Information Database. We also operate a high-precision GPS network used by surveyors and mappers around the state. We build custom web map applications, and we coordinate across all the different entities that do work with digital mapping. Computer-based mapping goes by the term Geographic Information Systems, or GIS for short. In a GIS, the shape, position, and descriptive information associated with real-world features are stored in a database in a common coordinate system, and that allows data to be integrated between different areas of interest. It allows powerful visualization and analysis and problem solving. Of all the layers that are used in GIS, aerial photography is perhaps the most important layer. It provides the base on which a lot of the other work is done. 2 years ago, state and local government had access to the best resolution aerial photography, which is 6-inch resolution, for about 3% of the state's area, and that was along the Wasatch Front. And several commercial options were presented to improve statewide aerial photography from 1 meter resolution, which is what we had at a statewide level, down to that 6-inch resolution covering the entire state. Together, we formed a partnership across 14 different organizations and purchased rights to Google's 6-inch imagery product and a cloud-hosted platform that would provide access to this data resource. Google's cloud platform, together with some custom GIS software, provides fast, scalable storage, service, and it also allows us to record all the usage information associated with the service. I'll talk about that a little bit later. After about 1.5 years, we now have 100% of the state covered at 6-inch resolution. That imagery takes up 18.5 terabytes, which makes it prohibitively big for getting a copy to everyone who's using it. We have 280 organizations around the state, again, local, state, government, their contractors, their formal partners. And so we can't just get this to everybody and have them run it on their laptop. So we're running it over the internet from cloud-hosted servers. On average, in a month, we're passing out via those web services about a terabyte, over a terabyte of information to those organizations. So the imagery web services are being used by organizations headquartered in every county in the state. And that's significant because Daggett County has a little over 1,000 people. They use GIS, they use aerial photography to get their work done in a county that small. And that's really unusual across the country. I think that we have better penetration in some of the remote areas of the state than anywhere else in the country. Now, a quick tour of some of the imagery and a few of the areas in which it's being used together with GIS around the state. Infrastructure and transportation are one of the biggest use areas, including project planning, asset management, and system performance. If you didn't like the Crossroads of the West quarter design on Utah's quarter, too bad. I mean, it's hard to really deny that this isn't the Crossroads of the West, whether it comes to transportation or fiber optics backhaul, as some of the presenters have mentioned already today. And this snapshot of the Spaghetti Bowl area in Salt Lake City, together with the rail yard, there are over 50 lanes and tracks in that very small corridor. And of course, that's infrastructure that UDOT and others are mapping and maintaining. High-res aerial photography is supporting innovative modernization and upkeep of the Utah's transportation system. This is one of the new interchanges, I think in the Lehigh area with the double diverging diamond interchange, which I think is kind of an interesting concept. Seems to work well, but if you look at it, it's pretty crazy. And of course, transportation is just one of the infrastructure areas that, oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So this slide illustrates some of the work that UDOT, together with the Department of Public Safety, are doing. They're mapping every single vehicle crash in the state and every citation that's issued in the state in order to analyze traffic safety and look for ways that they can tune either the roadway design or enforcement activities that the Highway Patrol and others are doing. So like a lot of mapping work is going into improving the safety of the roads. And transportation isn't the only infrastructure out there. We've got things like municipal services. This is a sewage treatment facility, which somehow makes a pretty picture. We've got excuse me. We've got recreation infrastructure. This is the Olympic Park. One of the things we're working on is mapping, together with local government and some of the federal landowning agencies, all the recreational trails in the state. So if you mountain bike, ride your bike on single track, or hike, or ride an OHV, we're using this aerial photography to map out those resources and provide a comprehensive layer to public safety and others of where the trail system is. So far, we've got 7,000 miles of trails mapped. And then, of course, state buildings and facilities. Our risk management and construction facilities and construction division in state government recently mapped out all the facilities that they own and insure. Anyone know what this is? A hog confinement facility. Yeah, these are the hog farms in southwestern Utah. They kind of look like little microchips or something like that when viewed on the aerial photography. But these are the types of things that folks working in the agricultural sector and environmental quality can have access to this information. Really surprising how many of these are in operation in, I think, Iron and Millard County. Economic development, that's one of the reasons why we're all here today. Through GOED's Broadband Outreach Center, Utah has made a significant effort to use map technology in support of economic development. For prospective businesses, locate.utah.gov presents an interactive map of Utah's opportunity landscape with detailed map information on broadband, utilities, infrastructure, workforce, community, and recreational amenities. In addition to viewing these map layers, the Locate website allows a custom report to be produced for any location in the entire state. And that report has detailed contact information for broadband, electric, water, and telephone utilities, among other information. A second map site that we've helped develop for the Broadband Outreach Center allows consumers and decision makers to explore in detail residential class broadband services and speeds from the state's 50+ commercial broadband providers. This is broadband.utah.gov/map, and it's accessed off of Kelly and Kendall's website. Natural resources is another important application for GIS and aerial photography. This is my vote for the most unusual photo taken from an airplane of Utah. Anyone? Yeah, potash. Potash. This is the evaporative ponds that are southwest of Moab as part of the potash mining activity that happens right under Dead Horse State Park. Really a distinctive set of colors. We're going to all right, thank you. Not everything in Utah is beautiful. It's hard to see this, but right in here there was a little black dot that we couldn't figure out what it was. We thought it might have been a pond or something that we'd missed in our mapping activities, and it turned out to be a really well-organized pile of tires, which are hopefully well kept and maintained, and I thought that was kind of interesting. The Division of Water Rights is completing, I jumped, let's see. Okay, yeah. So this website, the Watershed Restoration Initiative, has a really amazing story. In the past 10 years, 20 federal and state and regional organizations have collaboratively proposed, planned, and completed habitat enhancement, wildfire restoration, and other types of sort of landscape level projects across the state. They've done about 2,000 projects, and the funding total for those projects is over $200 million, and they used mapping technology to organize the work from the proposal stage to planning and actually completing the work. The Division of Water Rights is completing a statewide inventory of irrigation canals down to like the ones that barely have a trickle in them. And this is being used to enable water modeling. Water is a pretty important resource in the state, but also to do safety reviews. We've had some incidents with canals in the last couple of years, and the legislature put them in charge of building this inventory so that we can stay a little bit better on top of the resources that are out there. And this would not have been possible without that 6-inch aerial photography. Public safety. It's perhaps maybe the highest profile use of map data in the state. Map technology is on all the consoles in the state's 911 communication centers. I think we've got maybe 40 of them around the state. It's front and center. The map display is becoming much more important for determining and verifying the location of the caller, as well as coordinating the response to the incident that they're calling about. And in addition to drones, maps are an important part of what the Division of Emergency Management is doing. This is part of the dashboard that they have put together to manage large-scale disaster response. And mapping is one of the ways that they bring all the information together to the decision makers. I'll pause there and hope that things come back. Flicker, flicker, yay! And James Wingate is here from Blue Stakes. Anyone, show of hands, who knows what Blue Stakes is? The 811, you call before you dig, utility notification center for Utah. They have a statewide responsibility. They've been using GIS not only to map out where people are calling about, but to compare that to the utilities who want to be notified for that particular area. They've been doing that for 15 years. It's a really important part of their operation. And this is one of the maps of the month that we did for the Broadband Outreach Center. It shows where all the dig requests were in 2015, which is a really really a nice representation of basically where economic activity is happening in our state. Oh yeah, and elections. Sort of a timely topic. GIS has been used since 1992 for the every 10-year redistricting process in Utah. And in 2012, at least my understanding is that we were the first state in the country to map out the entire voter registration database, as well as to create a digital precincts file. So that's what's making everything work with regard to getting the right ballot to the right voter. Vote.utah.gov doesn't have any maps displayed on it, but it's using map data to present information about where to vote and who the elected officials are. So back to our aerial photography and base map platform, which hopefully will come back up. For the first time, since we're dealing with a licensed aerial photography product, we've got to have people who are using the data tell us who they are. And that gives us really great information about who is using geographic information systems and the aerial photography. It's great to know who your customers are. We also are able to use this platform to figure out who's using what imagery, how much they're using, how often, and most importantly, where they want to see aerial photography in the state. We can see the where component using real-time heat maps that show sort of request counts at different scales around the state. And we've also been able to export the entire log file and make a heat map similar to the BlueStakes map that I showed earlier that shows where users are relying on that really fine-grained view of Utah's surface. So this is just the places where this heat map's built just on the most zoomed-in requests where you can see a substantial difference between the old 1-meter imagery and the new 6-inch imagery. So, that's going to drive our focus in the future for spending additional money on updated imagery for the state. Just in case you're wondering, I've got 5 seconds left. Hopefully I can take a minute or more. Is that all right? Okay, thank you. Just in case you're wondering, this is currently the most visited square mile in the state with regard to aerial photography. This is just north of the existing state prison site and just south of the Bangor Highway. We're watching. So knowing who is using the service also has allowed us to do an extensive user survey. Based on the respondents, we think it's safe to say that there are over 1,000 staff around the state who use this information resource daily and in very important application areas. And the satisfaction levels are decidedly on the desired side of the 1 to 10 scale. So we're really happy about that. Lastly, we've collected basic and detailed information describing the types of impact and the returns on the investment. How exactly is this resource improving the way that work gets done in Utah? In conclusion, I provided a quick overview of our project and other map technology initiatives that are making a difference in Utah. For the future, we've got great metrics and also great user feedback to support our future decisions in this area. Thank you. Maybe the last concluding remark is that broadband makes that all work, right? And it's the key ingredient.